Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, some of you may know that I was medically retired from the military 4 years ago, and time has flown. But even 4 years ago, I was noticing shifts in the culture of the military. It's gotten more and more progressive, and today it's hardly recognizable. Let's watch a difference between Russian Army ads and the US Army ads. But before we get started, how about you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. It helps with the algorithm. Let's check it out.
Твоей новой жизни. Что ты знаешь о себе? На что ты способен? Вопросы могут остаться без ответов, но разве ты сумел знать себя? Познать границы своих возможностей? К черту границы, а без боя нет победы. Но на самом деле, главный враг — это задача выследить врага, догнать его, превзойти, стать лучше, чем он.
It begins in California, with a little girl raised by two moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. To marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class, and after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
Твоей новой
So, I do appreciate how quickly she got changed because I think that's the quickest I've ever seen a female change. But you can definitely see a difference in the ads. With the Russian Army ad, you have basically the pinnacle of what they would consider an alpha male. And with the US Army, it's some feminist. It's someone who's pushing a progressive agenda. It's not even a strong female, as if they were trying to recruit strong females into the military. So you think they would target people like Gina Carano. They would find there are females in the military who kick ass. And you think they could have found them, but no, they found somebody with a progressive history, somebody who could push a social narrative that they wanted to push. Let's jump over to the Daily Mail. Our military leadership has gone woke. Tucker Carlson blasts Pentagon's new diversity and inclusion plans and appointments, saying officials are more concerned about race, gender, and sexuality than they are about protecting Americans. This is from 27 March 2021. Carlson claims woke officials have taken control of the Pentagon, compromising the safety of Americans. The conservative has slammed Special Operations Command new diversity and inclusion chief Richard Torres Estrada and new Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. He claims both men appeared more interested in left-wing political activism than they are with threats to the United States. And I have to disagree with Tucker Carlson on this because Lloyd Austin seems to be interested in these conflicts. He wishes to ensure that the United States military is not an effective force. That way we can extend the lengths of these wars so Raytheon can get more multi-billion-dollar contracts. Carlson also slammed the command's new diversity and inclusion plan. He claims it will result in the dramatic lowering of standards because of its focus on sexuality, gender, and race over merits. And that is true because about a month ago, I reported the the new Army physical fitness test. Basically, they had to change the standards. It was one standard for all soldiers, yet females were 5 times more likely to fail the test than their male counterparts. So what did they do? Instead of changing the test for everybody, they said, it's okay, females, you have to do less. You don't have to do what the male soldiers have to do, even though you're just as strong and just as capable as the men. Jumping over to Tucker Carlson again. Tucker Carlson says the U.S. military is not dealing with the clear and present threat of UFOs because it's too busy purging its ranks of soldiers who are not woke enough and fighting a war on global warming. The Fox News host hit out at military leaders on his show Monday night. This is from 18 May 2021, so 2 days ago. Footage surfaced last week of apparent UFO sightings near San Diego in 2019. And here's the video if you're watching on YouTube. Retired Navy officials say the technology is up to 1,000 years ahead of that used by the U.S., while others say they spotted UFOs every day on postings. So people are saying this is clearly just an American PSYOP operation. They have this technology. It's 1,000 years or more advanced, or so they claim, than what we are currently capable of. There would be some. I'd understand if they said it was 50 or 100 years more advanced. Imagine if we made just an insane leap in technological ability. But 1,000 years? We're talking about beyond Star Trek times, I'm pretty sure, because Star Trek The Next Generation takes place 400 years from now. Carlson questioned whether the Pentagon is taking the UFO threat seriously. He accused the likes of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin of focusing on diversity and inclusion initiatives and the weather instead of investigating UFOs. He claimed Austin's appointment was like handing control of the entire U.S. military to the editorial page of the New York Times. So what he's saying is Lloyd Austin is pushing this, we need to weed out these imaginary white supremacists from the ranks of the military. We need to push a progressive agenda. We need to be more inclusive. We need more non-white pilots. We need to be mindful of climate change as we kick in doors, shoot people in the face, and turn deserts into sheets of glass. That is not the military's concern. The military should not be concerned about climate change. Allow the politicians to be concerned about climate change and allow the military to kick in doors and shoot people in the face, because that's what they're there for. He fumed the military. That's a weird way of putting that. He fumed the military is too busy hiring more pregnant Air Force pilots and being obsessed with political purity to defend America. And so he's talking about those female flight suits. And I still have questions about that, because at a certain point, pregnant females are not allowed to fly due to restraints. Female airmen, female soldiers aren't allowed to handle certain chemicals. Female soldiers aren't allowed to do PT after a certain point, or at least organized PT. They can do PT on their own. So why are you investing time, money, research, energy into creating something that won't be used? This is your country. Please defend it. It is becoming clear that they have no interest in defending it, said Carlson. And also with the political purity, when Lloyd Austin was involved, well, he wasn't involved, but when the military was involved in the inauguration, basically weeding out anybody with a Gadsden flag on their Facebook page, anybody who was considered anti-Biden. You had a member of the House of Representatives come out, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but basically said that 81% of the military is a national security threat because they're potentially a white male. And white males in the military predominantly voted for Donald Trump. Jumping over to legal insurrection. And so this is what I'm going to be talking about, political purity tests from Josh Krashar. Actual press release headline from the Pentagon. Press Secretary smites Fox host that diss diversity in the U.S. military. The U.S. military is the greatest force the world has ever seen because of its diversity, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said during a news conference. So it's okay. It is okay for the military. It is okay for the Department of Defense to attack members of our media. Keep that in mind. Jumping over to the Daily Mail again. Space Force commander is fired for warning of spread of critical race theory rooted in Marxism throughout the military. So critical theory is Marxist. It's designed to deconstruct American values, essentially. Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lomer, had appeared on a podcast when he made comments that led to a loss of trust in his ability to lead, the Space Force said. They added, Lieutenant General Whiting has initiated a command-directed investigation on whether these comments constituted prohibited partisan political activity. How is that prohibited partisan political activity? He just said, hey, look, critical race theory is Marxist. He's not saying it's a Democrat theory. He's saying Marxism is spreading throughout the military, and the medium in which it is traveling, the way it's being spread, is due to critical race theory. He's making an observation. He's being fired for his anti-politics. Unless by them firing him for basically partisan political activity, Department of Defense is participating in partisan political activity, because if he's exposing, or if his objection to critical race theory is considered political activity, then critical race theory itself is a political activity, and they're forcing political ideology onto soldiers, airmen, sailors, space cadets. I don't know if that's a thing, but they're pushing that political ideology on our military, and that is unacceptable. I'm telling you, liberal fascism is a thing, and it's happening before our eyes. Lomir had been the commander of 11th Space Warning Squadron at Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado. He was removed from the role Friday. He said active service members have written to thank him for his comments because we don't have a voice anymore. Just speaking out against a theory, critical race theory. It's not political, guys. It's not political. Being anti-racist, it shouldn't be a political stance, right? You should just be anti-racist. But if you go, hey, this seems an awful lot like Marxism because critical theory is from Karl Marx. Well, if you speak out against that, we're going to have a loss of confidence because you are partisan, because you're participating in prohibited partisan political activity. But you said critical race theory wasn't political. So me basically stating that this thing is just weird shouldn't be taught because it's alienating your force. Right? And how crazy is this? What's your percentage of white people in the military? It's like 80%. So you're going to alienate the majority of the people in your ranks so you can push a certain agenda? All they're doing is trying to get normal people, non-woke people, to leave the military. And I know plenty of people that are in saying, I need to get out of here. Even Democrats, even people who voted for Joe Biden said, this is getting bananas. I don't want to find myself inside of a jail cell for speaking out. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to be dishonorably discharged because I speak out against a political ideology I oppose. So that's going to be it for now, folks. But let me know in the comments below, do you think the Russian army ad is more effective than the US army ad? Do you think we should be recruiting the biggest, the strongest people that can kick in doors and shoot people in the face? Because that is our job as soldiers in the army. If you're an infantryman, if you're a door kicker, if you're a shooter, that's your job. Your job is not to make people feel good. It is not to sit down with them and discuss your existential angst because you wanted to figure out what your role in feminism is. So please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time, see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.